Welcome back to our project. We're going to be spending most of this video working on our navigation sections, and I'll show you some cool ways that you can use Emmet to make this a lot faster than if you had to do it manually. There's something I want to do first, and that is to create a link here so that when our users scroll through our pages and read our content, that they'll have a link down here that they can just click and it'll jump them back to the top, and they don't have to sit and scroll to get back to the top of the page. We'll do that by coming to the opening body tag of every page. ID equals top of page. And then we want to come down immediately below the nav section and just type A to get an anchor tag. And this is going to target the ID of top of page. And for the text, we'll just put top of page. And we're going to need one other thing in here besides the href that will take us to the top of the page. We're also going to need to have a class that's equal to, and we'll put top of page link. Control S to save that. Then we're going to do the same thing in the other two HTML files. When we get those built, we'll come back into the styles CSS file, and we're going to have to create the class rule for this top of page link. The first thing we want to do is to position this link in a fixed location, and it's going to be at the bottom of our screen, 10 pixels up from the bottom, and it's going to be in the lower right hand corner, 10 pixels over from the right edge. Control S to save. Now when you look down in the lower right hand corner of this constitution file, you'll see the top of page link. It stays put while we scroll the page, and if we want to jump back to the top, we just click on it and we're there. It does the same thing like in amendments. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom of amendments and want to get back to the top of that long page, we just click on there and we're back up here. Another thing we're going to do now is come in and clean up the nav sections so we can get ready to change these links into something that looks a lot better than what we see currently at the top of our pages. What we need to do is 2 or 3 things. I want to get rid of the BR tag in all of them, all 3 pages. Get rid of that BR tag, but leave that blank space in there. And then I want to get rid of all of these non-breaking space character entity codes that we put in here so that we could provide visual space between our links at the top of the page. That was put in there only temporarily, but I want to get rid of them all, so I highlight one of them, Control D until I get to the last one, and then just press delete. They're all gone. Escape and then save, and you can see at the top of the page that when we do that, it brings everything back to a big jumbled mess at the top of the page. We'll fix that in a few minutes. Let's do the same thing on the other 2 HTML pages. Okay, now back in our constitution file, I'm going to highlight the top 2 links that we have. These are the 2 links that we want on the top row in our navigation section. And I'm going to press Control Shift A so that I can wrap these in a new element called div. Here in the div tag, we want this to have a class of top nav. In the abbreviation field for Emmet, I put div.topnav and then enter. I'm going to do the same thing for the fragment links to the articles of the Constitution. Control S to save this. Now you can see in Constitution how that we've reestablished the 2 rows of links that we have at the top by getting rid of the BR tag and then wrapping each row in a set of div tags with a top nav class. I'll do that to the other 2 pages. Now in the amendments file, we've got the top 2 rows that are set aside now in div tags. I'm going to go ahead and take out this BR tag that comes before the fragment links to the amendments. I'm going to go ahead and wrap all of these in a div tag, but the class on this one will be called amendments. Press enter. And now I need all of these fragment links to the amendments to be organized as a unordered list, with every one of these being contained in a set of li tags. And you'll see why in a minute. On the amendments page, what we'll do, we're going to move all of these links that are horizontal across the top. There's 27 of them. So we're going to move them in a line over along the right edge of our page. So to do that, I have to select all 27 fragment links. Be sure that you don't include the div tags. Control-Shift-A, I'm going to use Emmet, and the abbreviation here is going to be UL, and then the greater than symbol. And here I want LI tags around every one of those, so I have to have LI with the asterisk following it, and then enter to save that. Control S, and I see something here that we need to take out. Here we didn't have that full-blown long string of character entities, but we did put in the non-breaking space after each one. So I'm going to highlight one of them and use Control D to get all the rest of them. Delete, escape, Control S to save. And you can see now in our amendments file that it has moved this list of 27 amendment fragment links into a vertical list, and we certainly need to move that. We'll do that by working with a class style for the amendments. We're going to come into the navigation field, and what we're going to do, I'm going to push that top of page link down towards the bottom. I'm going to create, first of all, the class rule for our top nav. That's going to be for the first 2 rows of links that we have. And this is going to be a series of style rules that our goal is to make these links across the top look more like buttons. And it helps us to control the spacing, the size, and everything by doing what we're about to do. Color is going to be white. That's going to be the ultimate color. But if I change the color to white, then you're going to see all of these links at the top of the page disappear because the background is white. So I'm just going to go ahead and just leave these as black for now. We'll come back and change that to white here in a few minutes. We want these to be displayed as an inline block, and that is discussed in your textbook. Padding will be the amount of space that there is inside of each of the buttons, space between the edge of the button and the text that's inside the button. Our margin is the amount of space between each button. I'm going to change the text decoration for those links, and I'm going to change this to none. After text decoration is our background color, and our background color is going to be slate gray. The border around these buttons will be 2 pixels wide. It'll be a solid line, and it will be dark gray. The border radius around these buttons will give those boxes the appearance of having rounded corners. 6 pixel radius. We want a text shadow around the text that's inside each of the buttons. Very small shadow. 0.1 em, 0.1 em, 0.1 em. And then our last value is the color that we want. And here we're going to get sort of a close to gray hash symbol 666. This is the hexadecimal value. And after the text shadow, we need a box shadow. And here we're going to have a setting of 2 pixels, 4 pixels, 2 pixels, and then our color. And then for our last value for the box shadow, we're going to use an RGBA color value. Our colors here are going to be 0, 0, 0, and then we want to have a 0.5 for the last value. The reason for using the RGBA, the A stands for the alpha channel, the R is the amount of red, G is the amount of green, B is the amount of blue, and the alpha channel is a way that we can express a color and give the last property of this color is its opacity. And so how transparent is it, or is it totally opaque where you can't see anything through it? And we're giving it about a 50% transparency. After box shadow, we need to position this relative within its containing block. And we will save this. And we're not seeing what we want to see on the screen, and that is because when I created the class of top nav, I'm not just trying to target the top nav, which is in this opening div tag. I need to also include the descendant selector so that we are focusing here on the anchor tags themselves. So right after top nav space A, with the anchor tag, Control S, and now you can see what kind of result we're going to get with these buttons. So go to Declaration and Amendments, and we're seeing everything here look a lot better. Now we need to go back into our amendments file. We need to get this cleaned up where that our amendments are not standing right in the middle of the page. We'll come back into Styles, and to do the amendments we need to create a couple of rules here. One is for the amendments block itself. This is going to be a position of fixed, just like the link in the lower right hand corner, but this time it's going to be a position from the top 10 pixels and from the right edge 10 pixels. We also need to have a rule here that focuses not just on the list of the amendments div section as a block, but also reaches down all the way through this UL and gets all the way down to the LIs for each of these. So what we're going to do is create another rule that's going to focus on class amendment. We need to reach down to that UL, and for the UL we're going to get rid of these buttons that are off to the sides. So list style type is going to be none, and we want the line height of these to be 1.1 EM. Control S to save, and now you can see how that jumps all the way over to the right edge of the page, and as we scroll through the page, then that list of fragment links for the amendments stays put, and I can click on any of these from anywhere within the page, or I can also just click down here to jump back up to the top of the page. One more that we need to get done here. I'm going to change the value of our anchor tags, the color. I'm going to fix this color as blue, and you'll see why in just a moment. Text, decoration of none, and color blue. Control S to save. I want to do one more thing, and that's to get the black text out of these buttons. Come back up and do white. Control S to save. And the reason I'm doing the colors this way is something that will become obvious when we get into our JavaScript project for today. Control S to save that. Everything is saved, and we're done in configuring the appearance and the placement of our navigation elements.